Sal Paolantonio. It's a Sal Pal Friday. Thanks to our friends Johnny G, the Burger Realty team in Ocean City. Johnny G and the boys over there do a great job here on the island as we look at Sal Pal Friday, a look at the Eagles and the Raiders in Vegas. Sal Pal, how are you?
I'm great, Mike Gill. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I know that this Eagles game is kind of, as much in Philadelphia that a football game can be secondary. Ben Simmons has hogged the entire week, so the Eagles can kind of focus in on being a flawed team getting ready for a road game, which could be a good thing.
I call it the total eclipse of the Simmons.
That's what's happened this week. It's not often that the Eagles get overshadowed in Philadelphia, right? I mean, you know that.
No, but I tell you what, as much as a nightmare the Simmons situation is, I'm going to bank shot on this and say going into week 7, Carson Wentz has 9 touchdown passes and only 1 interception.
Right.
So that's the real nightmare scenario for Philadelphia Eagles fans, is that Frank Reich managed to fix Carson Wentz. Because right now he's outplaying Jalen Hurts at the quarterback position.
Well, Nick Sirianni this week, he kind of indicated that he wants Hurts to stay in the pocket, throw more from the pocket, keep his eyes off the rush. There's a lot of people saying, look at his eyes, he's putting his head down. He wants him to get rid of the ball. What's the problem with that statement?
What do you mean? What's the problem with the statement? I think I sent those Nick Sirianni quotes to you earlier in the week because I thought they were important,
right?
And they didn't get a lot of play, right?
Right. Well, he's saying that he wants him to stay in the pocket, and the response is the problem with that comment would be Hurts isn't delivering the ball accurately. That's been the issue here.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So no, listen. The focus has been tremendously on the fact that the Eagles have to run the ball more. And I'm all for that. I'm for running the ball more. I'm for more balance on offense. But in addition to running the ball more, they must pass the ball better. And right now, I don't see it at all. It's a very inefficient offense. It's a very unproductive offense. And all you got to do is look at a very vital statistic that I always look at, and that is the average points scored per drive. Now, the Eagles have had 65 offensive drives, Mike Gill, 65. They've only scored 15 touchdowns on those 65 offensive drives. That's way below average. They're only averaging 2 points per drive. That's way below the average in the National Football League. They're very unproductive. And the way that you're productive, I've always been taught, is that your points come out of the passing game. Yes, you want to be balanced, and I am for running the ball more, especially from the running back position. And they do go hand in hand. You play complementary football that way. But in order for this team to really go, Jalen Hurts must be more accurate. Jalen Hurts must be more productive, and that starts with him staying in the pocket and at least getting to his second, perhaps third read. And that will happen if Nick Sirianni develops an offense around him that's really more like what you see from like a Tom Brady kind of offense, which means you have a layered look where you have a deep ball, a middle ball, and a short ball that's available to Jalen Hurts. And one of the things that I think that they have to do is load up on the offensive line, and for lack of a better term, deception through play action pass. The Titans do it very well. The Bucks do it very, very well. Even the New England Patriots do it pretty well with Mac Jones. The foundation of what they do is play action pass.
Yeah, well,
you can't have play action pass. You can't have play action pass if you're not intending at all to run the football.
Yeah, and how much of that is on the play design of this offensive coordinator and this head coach, right? I mean, that's where the crux of this is his play design is not allowing you to do stuff that you just mentioned there. Because I agree, their personnel is very friendly to the play action game.
Yes. Well, they got to run the ball though, Mike, because if you're not even if there's no deception and there's no design, most of the league knows what's coming when Jalen Hurts lines up. That's why you see them daring Jalen Hurts to run the ball. Now, Jalen Hurts is the number one option when the Eagles are trying to move the chains, right? He has 21 rushing first downs. 21. That's second only to Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has 24. But Lamar Jackson also has Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews has 25 receiving first downs. And Lamar Jackson has 24 rushing first downs. After Jalen Hurts, the Eagles have nobody in the top 60 in either rushing or receiving first downs. He's their entire first down option. When they want to move the chains, Hurts is their number one option by a long shot. By a long shot. And unless he gets another option to move the chains, teams will load the box on third down against him and make it very difficult for him to get the first down either through passing or running with the football.
Sal Pal Friday, I know, Sal, running the ball is something they need to do more. I'm not one of these, it's got to be 50-50, but 65, you got to mix it in every once in a while. But this is a team that had two viable tight ends. Now they're down to one, but can just having Goddard actually make things easier for this offense? Just having one tight end in the offense instead of trying to serve two masters almost.
Well, you look at Sirianni's offense, and he wants to have three wide receivers on the field, one tight end, one running back, so-called 11 personnel. Under Doug Peterson, the Eagles lived in so-called 12 personnel, one back, two tight ends. Sirianni doesn't want to do that. But in order to be successful doing that, Michael, your quarterback has to be able to throw accurately and not just rely on one read and run. Or else, what are you doing? You're wasting wide receivers on the field, right?
Yep.
Obviously. You're wasting them. So that's the offense he wants to have. But I also want to be the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus.
Well,
I mean, we all want certain things in life, but you're not getting that with this quarterback right now. So you're correct, 1,000%. That's why I'm on your show, because you're right all the time. And you're right about this. Design matters. Scheme matters. The play design goes hand in hand always in a successful offense with your personnel. That's how you get execution. Scheme matches personnel, gives you execution. And right now, they are not married to one another.
So earlier this week, I don't know that you heard Jalen Hurts said something that raised my eyebrows a little bit on this. And he was asked on, they said the data shows that you don't throw towards the middle of the field very often. And he said, I'm just trying to execute everything that's called. Is that him saying that they're telling me not to throw the ball to the middle of the field? Is that his way of saying, I'm just doing what they're telling me?
Well, they don't control the middle of the field because they usually only have one tight end on the field. And they don't control the middle of the field because they don't run option routes. They run crossing routes. They run a lot of routes outside the numbers, but he's not an outside the numbers accurate passer at this point in his career. He may be at some point.
Right.
That's something you develop unless you have, Justin Herbert's arm or, Matthew Stafford's arm. And he doesn't have that yet. He may have it, but he doesn't have it yet.
Mm-hmm. I like to look at this game and say, hey, it's a road game. They've won 2 games on the road. And there's a common theme, Sal, in my eyes, of games they've won this year, both on the road. The team that they're playing is very weak in the offensive line. Would the Raiders be in that category of a weak offensive line where their defensive front can win at the point of attack? That has seemingly been their recipe. Carolina, weak offensive line. Atlanta, very weak offensive line.
Yes, I think you're correct in your analysis. The Raiders don't have an offensive line that matches up. The difference, well, let's just look at the Carolina game. Let's throw the Atlanta game out completely. The difference is Derek Carr's not going to give the ball away as much or as easily, let's put it that way, as Sam Darnold. Now, the Raiders don't run the ball very well or very often either. They rely on their passing game and pushing it downfield. So you would think that the four-man rush of Jonathan Gannon can get home on Derek Carr.
Right. And obviously, that's the key for their defense because, we know the same story. If they're going linebackers, Waller's going to have a field day against these linebackers, and Jacobs is a load of a running back. I mean, this is not a great matchup in those aspects, but can they balance it out by winning at the point of attack? I think that's where this game is won or lost on Sunday, and it feels like this is a game that you can steal on the road if you can win at the defensive line.
Yeah, and the other thing is that Gannon's defense, as we know, doesn't blitz, and they play two deep safeties, and that should take away the Raiders' strength, which is going down the field with the football. So if the Raiders play into that, they lose the game. Bottom line, they do, and the Eagles win.
Well, I'm going to get your take on the game in just a minute, but you've been covering this city and this town and this team nationally.
Oh no, you're not going to go. You're not going Ben Simmons on me.
Well, no, but I want to get your take on what Kelsey said.
No, don't do it, Michael.
What Kelsey said yesterday resonates. That if you play well, this place will love you. Is it true though? Like, is he right? Do you just are the fans fair to the players here?
Sure, they are. I do believe that. Okay. I think the Philadelphia fans are fair and knowledgeable and passionate and tough. And the thing that they've always done is they put their money where their mouth is. Mm-hmm. This fan base, more than any other, you can make the argument that this fan base, whether it's the Phillies or the Eagles or the Sixers, has suffered as much as any fan base in the country. I mean, the Phillies had the most losses in North America in the 20th century. Yeah. We all know that. That's been well documented, right? Phillies haven't been in the playoffs in how long? 10 years?
2011.
Postseason?
Yep.
They haven't been in the playoffs in 10 years. And the Eagles did not win a Super Bowl while there were 12 Super Bowl titles in the NFC East until Doug Peterson and Nick Foles won the Super Bowl. So this fan base has suffered, but they've never faltered in their financial support or their vocal, passionate support of their teams and the athletes. That's why they loved Allen Iverson, loved them. That's why they loved Chase Utley. I mean, that's why they loved Charles Barkley. I mean, guys who were lunch pail guys, and that's all you got to do. I mean, that's it. Win or lose. But, it helps to win. But as long as you are committed 100% all in, then you'll have a fan for life.
Yeah. Well, everybody always says I tune in because I want to hear Sal Pao's keys to the game. This is a winnable game as we've documented. What are Sal Pao's keys this week?
Well, the first and foremost is the quarterback, if he doesn't turn the ball over on the road, this is a road game, that gives you a 75% chance to win the game, in my opinion. That's the number one thing. Number two is you can control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, and I think that the Eagles will. I think this game can go a lot like the Panthers game in that respect. Is they'll find their footing late in the game and they'll pull out a victory. I got the Eagles winning on a last-minute field goal, 27-24.
All right, there you go, 27-24 Eagles. And I agree with the, by the way, Lane Johnson will be back in the game. Jordan Mailata back to left tackle. I agree with the control, the line. Like the game last night, Cleveland-Denver. Offensive line wins the game for Cleveland. They have no quarterback. The two running backs are hurt. And they won that game because they controlled the line of scrimmage against Denver last night. That's the basically the method to the madness for Nick Sirianni, I think, this week.
Oh yeah, well that's all. Football's not a hard game. It really isn't.
Well, Nick Sirianni seems to be making it pretty hard.
There's a reason why I talked about two things in this game.
Yeah.
And two things I talked about: moving the chains. Okay, you want to get first downs. Okay, and then you want to score points. That's the object of the game. You want to go down the field. You do that by moving the chains, getting first downs, and then you want to get into the end zone. You do those two things, Mike Gill, you're going to win the football game.
Well, I've heard a lot of I'm excited to see Goddard. I've heard a lot of that this week. I want to see Goddard have a big game, big week, get the tight end involved. The tight end, we used to have a guy when I was at West Virginia, Lovett Purnell was his name. He was the security blanket, and we say, man, get it to the security blanket all the time. That's what Hurts needs to do. Get it to the security blanket, man, and that'll open some things up for this offense.
Okay, well, it's all well and good, but they're not getting a lot of yards out of Goddard. That's the problem. I mean, to me, I wouldn't go in this direction.
No, but that moves the chains. That's what I'm saying. First downs, that moves the chains.
Yeah, but he hasn't been doing a whole heck of a lot of that yet. But,
you're right about that.
This is where he's got to start for sure. To me, I go back to two tight ends and put a fullback on the field. Start handing the ball up. No, I mean, seriously. Come on.
I think a lot of people in the listening audience would agree with you. I just don't think that we're going to – that style of football, is that coming back?
Well, I mean, two tight ends on the field, have the fullback, and one necessary.
Yep.
It's by any means necessary. Get those first downs, keep that quarterback on schedule, give him some defined reads off of controlling the line of scrimmage and controlling the clock and controlling field position. Look, in the matchup show, we talk about, Derrick Henry, okay, and how he's probably the best single talent right now in the National Football League, dominant talent. But there haven't been too many teams that have won the Super Bowl with the running back being the focal point of their offense. You have to go basically back to Super Bowl 40 when Jerome Bettis carried Ben Roethlisberger that year.
Sal Paolantonio, a Sal Pal Friday. Johnny G, the Burger Realty team. Thanks to them, of course, on a Friday here on the Sports
They
Match.
won it. Yeah. Huh?
Oh, I thought you were saying something. I was getting out of your way there for a second.
No. I'm just saying there's not many times where you have a running back who's going to carry you to the Super Bowl title.
Oh, yeah. Not in this day and age, no.
No. But you need to have one and a running game to keep so that your quarterback doesn't have to carry the load. When your quarterback is the number one guy getting first downs out of the running game, Michael, it's all out of whack.
Hey, totally agree with that. I mean, Ajayi and Blunt was just enough. It was just enough to kind of, keep you balanced, even though you're not 50-50. And that's where
go back to that game in LA against the Chargers. Remember?
Yep.
Again, Sirianni was on the sideline. He talked about it this week. LeGarrette Blunt, I mean, he just hammered that at the end of the game in the fourth quarter. Peterson just kept calling running plays after running plays, and that was with Carson Wentz on the field.
And calling too many runs got him fired. Sadly. I hope that whole Laurie thing isn't why he calls so many pass plays,
Oh, Mike Gill. That's a whole nother segment for a whole nother show, brother.
All right. Well, when if they're 5-11, maybe we'll get into that.
Okay. All right, I'll talk to you.
All right, Sal Paolantonio here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN, the free mobile app.